Simon, DJT on one of the messages coming in. Jim, listen, this easy route to the final, nobody remembers the runners-up, so certainly nobody in town will remember the route that those teams took.
And that's right. Nobody said it was easy.
No.
We said it was easier.
Well,
and that's
more favourable.
And that's subjective, isn't it? And ultimately, people will turn around and say that my argument that Austria was a difficult side for Italy to get past, some people say that's not the case. So look, we've all got a subjective opinion. I think at the end of the day, a good fight is not one you put up, is one you win. We're now in a final. We should celebrate that, but at the same time, we're having contextual conversations about the nature of the draw. Southgate's had 2 tournaments where he's had very good draws that have worked in his favour. But also, I think he's grown into the role of a manager. I think he's a 21st century international manager that's doing an outstanding job in certain areas. And I think Martin's point is a brilliant point. What he did with Jack Grealish, I thought, was an outstanding decision. Game was won. Yeah. End of the day, snuff him out, finish it in the last 15 minutes. And I think that's elite management in decision-making.
Martin, I want to know this from you this morning. A lot of people are saying, the boys, get behind the boys. Well, I personally am not a cheerleader. I don't sit here and cheerlead. But what I want to do is this. We want to get through to the listeners this morning and through to the viewers on YouTube and Facebook. Where are their minds at the moment, these lads who are going to go out there on Sunday? Not just the starting 11, but those who will be called upon to try and help to do a job on the Italians. This morning, Friday morning, beautiful morning in this part of London. Don't know what it's going to be like at St George's Park. Probably just as good. It looks great all over the country. Where is their thought process just now? What are they thinking?
Well, they understand what's ahead, but ultimately they're having fun and enjoying it. Because sometimes in sport we forget that. And I think if you're comfortable in your environment, then you can produce your best performances. And there's a routine to the way they prepare. And they've been prepared better than any other team's ever done going into a tournament. And so you build up. You don't need to get into that match mode. You don't have to get up for this game. It's one that you dream about. But I've played 92 when I stood in the tunnel representing England back in the day.
Yeah.
You stand there and you realise you're representing your nation for all those players that you've played against and with as a young man, the people you went to school with. Everybody's tuning in. You need to be ready for it, and this group are. And when you have a belief, which I now feel we've generated, I didn't feel there was a real belief. I looked around that dressing room in 92. It was a lot of players that would making their debuts in international football. We'd lost a lot of the many great players from Italia 90. They know that they can do it, and that's really strong. You go into that game, you have to feel, you look around that group in that dressing room, you can rely on every single player. And we have that now, and we have that with our manager. So it's about enjoying it, building up, not getting drawn into it.
Well,
you might watch a film tonight. You might see a box set. You've got to keep stepping out and stepping in.
But as they approach Wembley on Sunday, the occasion is massive. I mean, even the other night, walking into the semi-final, I must admit, I was gulping a bit. I was thinking, good God,
You've got
the
to love
focus
it,
of the world is on this at the moment.
But
how do you cope with that?
There are 2 emotions, fear and love. You have to love it and embrace it. But when you play in a final's different to a semi-final. A final, you have to trust is a big word. You have to trust your teammates, and sometimes less is more. You don't go flying around. I saw Pickford. So I'll give him as an example because it's unkind. Right. Because everyone's done remarkably well. But it seemed like at the moment it's getting the reality of what he's achieving started to sink in, and it started almost like he couldn't put one foot in front of the other. So it can't be too big that you can't perform and suffocate you. You've got to be able to produce your best football, and it's just step back a little bit and understand how good you are, because Pickford's been outstanding. And he can go forward now and he can do something that only Gordon Banks has done before him, win a major tournament. But you can't put too much pressure on yourself. You have to work to keep that pressure back and then get to boiling point, match mode, when you need to. That's the key to all of this.
Do everybody behave as they normally would? The quiet guys remain quiet? The fun guys are cracking jokes? Is it the same?
Exactly. And that's the environment, because everyone can be themselves. And when they're themselves, they go and they perform. You're the same off the pitch as you are on it. Be yourself, and that's what we now have.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.